So I got to start by saying welcome back. You are back at it, back together, back making music, and back on the road. Let's talk a little bit about all of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, 10th Avenue North, we always said we would never sacrifice our families on the altar of ministry.
Hmm.
And God called us on it. And in 2018, our drummer left to work for Compassion full time because he said, when my oldest starts middle school, I will not be on the road anymore. And so he did it with a lot of tears. He didn't want to quit. And then that next year, our piano player said, "Hey, I just can't do the road anymore. And me and my wife want to have babies. She doesn't want to have babies on the road. We're going to start an organic farm in Jupiter." And so they did. And then in 2019, my wife said, I don't know if this is more information than you were hoping for, but in 2019, my wife looked to me and said, "We have four daughters now. Pray for me. I have four daughters." And she said, "I need you home." And I said, "How long?" She said, "I don't know." So I told my bandmates, and they said, "Actually, we're kind of done with the road too."
Mm.
So at the beginning of 2020, we changed our spring tour to a farewell tour, which became the canceled by COVID tour, like everyone's tour, which I was super grateful that we had decided to come off the road of our own volition before that happened instead of being forced into it. And then my wife would have been like, "Well, he's home, but does he really want to be here?" You know? And it's cool to go to my daughters and to my wife. There's no question now. Does dad love us more than the band? Resoundingly, no. Well, then I was home for 4 years, and then my wife said, "Actually, I've had enough of you." Uh, no, she said, "Our daughters are all in school full time now. It's a totally different rhythm of life. If you don't tour as much as you used to, I think we could make this work." And so I went back to some of my old bandmates. I said, "Hey, I'm thinking of bringing the band back." Everyone said, "High five. That sounds awesome. You should do that. I hope you have a great time with whoever else you find to do it." We're actually all on very good terms. I live on the same street as my drummer. Um, and my guitar player, who I wrote a lot of songs with, he said, "I would love to keep writing songs with you, but I do not want to get back on the bus and tour." So Jeff and I are still writing songs. In fact, our first radio single, Invited, I wrote with Jeff and a couple of the new guys who are in the band who want to be on the road. So yeah, we're starting back up. And my wife just said, "I'm going to give you a good 2 years and we'll see how it's going." So I got at least 2 year lease of doing this, and then we'll reassess.
Awesome. I think people are thrilled to have you back. And I'm curious, you're doing this again, and a lot has happened in between. So those, not just with your family, uh, but a lot has happened in the world, in the church, in the music industry, and everything. And so I'm curious for you, what things are the same as 10th Avenue North prior to breaking up and getting back together, and what things are different?
Hmm.
And that could be for you, for the show, or even
Yeah.
things that you're noticing with your listeners, your fans.
I mean, I think what's the same is it's still about a song. The music industry, it's still about I connect with that song. And in in specifically when you're talking about songs and music that deal with Christian themes, when they deal with songs about Jesus, what you find is a lot of people view these songs as prayers. I have a buddy who always said our songs are like life rafts, and people are going through their life, and these are just places they can grip onto. And I think that's very much still the same. Uh, how you get songs to people and how you let people know that you're around, that has all changed. I mean, uh, social media was kind of like something we did because it was fun before, and now it's very much, oh, you have to be on there to let people know. Otherwise, how are they going to know? But I've had a really cool shift with social media personally, where I did a little tour where I was opening up for Big Daddy Weave. I was playing acoustic, And there's this other artist who was on there, and she had been blowing up on TikTok. And this girl, we did a Q&A, and this other girl from the audience, high school girl, says, "How do you blow up on TikTok? Because I want to blow up on TikTok." And so, which is funny because we didn't even have TikTok when the band ended. That wasn't, it was like, oh, you can't be on
Right.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And she gave her really great advice. Like, hey, you got to post this many times a week, the algorithm, blah, 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 hashtags, all this stuff. Very practical. And you got to not worry about what people say. People are going to be really mean online. They'll be meaner than they will in person. That's for sure true.
Oh yeah.
And I said, man, that's good. I go, can I ask her something? Not the artist, the girl who asked the
Mhm.
question. I go, yeah. I go, hey, how many followers do you have? She goes, oh, I have 724 or whatever it was. And I said, that's amazing. You are crushing Jesus at the followers game. And she, no, 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 no. Jesus spoke to multitudes. I go, have any of your posts gone over 1,000 views? She goes, well, yeah, a couple have had a couple thousand views. I go, well, that's a multitude, is it not? She goes, well, but I want more followers. I go, Jesus had 12. And you could get real particularly, like there was 500, then there was 12, then there was 3. I go, maybe instead of worrying about how many followers you have, what if you worried about serving the followers you already have? And I went, oh, shoot, I need to follow my own advice because I think I'm not doing that. And I had this whole shift where I kind of turned my social media into just little clips of things that I hope will help people instead of thinking, is this going to go viral? Is this going to get. And ironically, of course, then some of those clips go viral. And I'm like, because I seriously, I look at social media now, I go, I have too many followers. Like, I cannot serve the number of followers that I have. So
I love that
some
mentality.
of what's the same.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this, and it actually is one of those things that has stuck with me. Hearing you
Mm,
say, like, what are you providing for the followers that you do have? That applies on social media. It applies in my job on the radio. I think it applies in everybody's life, really. What influence do you have? What are you going to do for the people who you're impacting?
yeah.
And what can they rely on you for? So I love that. I think that it's cool that it's led to these mic drop moments for you
Yeah.
on your own
Yeah.
social.
I resisted calling anything a mic drop,
You
but
got it. It's right
people
there.
kept
You have
saying
to.
it. I
Yeah.
know people kept saying it, and I'll just embrace it. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, if it's right there, it's obvious. It's kind of like gold. You just got to,
Yeah.
yeah.
We even
But
started doing that on the 10th channel where my drummer will come up to me with a little baby
yeah,
microphone and then I do a little thing and then I drop the mic. I actually drop
you
the little mic.
got to do the cute stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
Well, you have always done so well with speaking, not just singing, but actually speaking, and that's one of the things that we've always loved about you. You've been able to connect in that way. What kinds of things are on your heart these days that you feel a burden to share with people?
I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, I had a video that went viral or whatever you call it. And it's the theme of my first book. I wrote a book called Finding God's Life for My Will. And there's been a sort of resurgence for me to re-articulate. I think there's a real conflation in the church, especially, of what's God's will for my life, what's God's calling on my life, and what is God's ministry through my life. And I think we kind of mess all of those three things together. So I was just talking with a buddy that I really want to help people delineate between those two things. Because I think when you uh, articulate and define what each of those are, there's actually a lot of freedom in it. My buddy Torrin Wells just asked me to come preach at his church at the end of October, and I'm gonna do it on those three things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now I have all these ideas in my head of like, will you guys sing together? Will you do,
Oh,
is a song coming out of this? Is it,
Torrin and I were label mates,
yeah.
and he was in a band called Royal Taylor before he was a solo artist, and they came out and opened for 10th Ave on a tour. So we've always kept in touch, and I always joke that he actually is following God's call on his life while I'm still kicking against the goads. Because people keep telling me to be a pastor, and Torn actually did it. He's pastoring a church. Um, so we'll see.
Yeah. There's still time. I mean, he just launched that thing within what, the past year? Something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Well, you kind of do that on social and in concerts. I mean, it can look like different things, don't you think?
Well, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's part of understanding God's calling is the calling actually can change and does change throughout our life. The calling is the unique abilities we've been given to serve the world in unique ways. That's our calling. Frederick Buechner said, "Your calling is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet." And that is going to shift and change throughout your life because things happen, and if you build your identity on your calling, that's a dangerous place to be because your calling is going to change throughout your life. And so instead of building your identity on God's calling on your life, build your identity on the love of the one who calls. And then that way your identity is secure wherever he calls you.
I'm sorry you don't have a mic to drop right now. Don't do it
Oh,
with the snowball. But like, I feel like that was one of those moments.
I'm just trying to be precise with my language, and I think it's helpful.
I do think it's helpful. I think if you have language and you have something to say it as clearly as you can,
Hmm.
especially if you have that gift of being able to uh, speak in ideas and heartfelt things. So you do a very good job of that. Always have.
Oh,
I still remember when you first came to one of our live from the Junction Center events and the things that you said, and we were like, whoa, not just a singer.
okay.
There's a lot in there, and
Yeah.
it's what people need to hear. So, coming in concert, the Invited tour, something we didn't know we were going to say, that 10th Avenue North is coming back around again. Uh, and everyone is invited. I mean, we've been able to have a lot of fun with that. But let's talk about your new music. I know of a couple of songs,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of irony, I think, in your book ending of like, here's how we started. Here's the theme that comes through all of 10th Avenue North, or here's how we thought we were finishing and now picking it back up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Invited. Tell us a story there.
Yeah, I mean, Invited is it's the recommissioning
Yeah.
of 10th Ave. We started with a song called Love Is Here, which is come, everyone who's thirsty. That song is built around Isaiah 55. Come, all you who are thirsty, come find wine and drink without money and without cost. And um, I said, that is the invitational heart of God. And we started Invited. I originally wanted to be about my parents because my parents are so invitational. And I told this story recently that there's a time I sent a band. My dad was so invitational, so hospitable. I sent a band to his house at 3 in the morning. And the guys, they hadn't showered in 2 weeks. There's 8 of them. And I'm thinking my dad was so hospitable when I was a kid, it was annoying, because it put me out, all these people he would invite into our house. So I'm like, I'm going to get my dad back. I'm going to invite this band at 3 in the morning. And they show up, and my dad's got a headlamp on, shirtless on the back porch, grilling chicken and fish for 8 guys he's never met. And that's just a snapshot of my dad. And we started thinking about that. And I go, well, how much more invitational is our Father, who would actually send his own son, who would die for us. And um, so, uh, Invited is a celebration of my dad who showed me a little snapshot of the heart of God.
I love that picture. I'm just picturing, if anyone can picture their dad on the porch grilling shirtless with a headlamp at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
like to joke
awesome.
that he was in his underwear, but I don't think he was actually in his. I know that he was shirtless. But we'll
Yeah.
just say,
It makes for a good story,
yeah,
all those little details. Another thing that there's irony in, I think, is knowing how well your song Control uh, connected with people. And then this next song, Letting Go for Dear Life,
yeah.
I lump
You
those
see what we're
together too.
doing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so Suddenly was the first song we came out with that actually mirrors losing. It's like
Hmm.
the celebration of once you finally can forgive. Losing is the struggle to forgive. Suddenly is the freedom that comes after you forgive. Invited is the sequel to Love Is Here, and Letting Go for Dear Life is the sequel to Control, right? So Control is, I don't have to hold on to the way my life goes. And so ironically, God called us to let go of the band, and
Yeah.
then Letting Go for Dear Life is kind of like the continuation of, hey, I know what you're going to think. You're going to think that I'm going backwards to whatever, but this is actually true. Letting go for dear life is to pick this back up,
Mm.
because I know I'll be misunderstood and people will go, oh, you couldn't hack it as a solo artist, or they'll say, oh, you guys must have had a huge fight. And a bunch of people kept coming into my life saying, I really feel like you're still uniquely called to this band at this time,
Mm.
including my wife, which was the most important. And I realized in order to do that, I had to let go of how I thought life was going to go, because I had let go of it,
Mm-hmm.
and coming to find that it really is the sweetest place to live isn't with hands clenched, but hands open. And I guess you could say if we are finite beings, right, temporarily
Mm-hmm.
here in a certain amount of time, and everything we have is a gift, that's scripture. What do you have that you did not receive, right? Then the only correct way to hold anything, for those of you that aren't watching, I have my hands out, my palms open. Like let's say if we are like sand, right? Our life, we're dust,
Yeah.
So picture if you're holding sand in your hands, if you hold it open like this, you're good. But if you clench your fingers,
Mm.
it starts to pour out. The very desire to hold on to what it's supposed to look like and how your life's supposed to go actually cause you to lose it. Jesus said that if you hold on to your life, you're going to lose it. If you lose your life, you find it. And so when you open your hands, it's pretty scary because God might take some of those things out, but it's also super sweet because now he can put new things in.
See, this is like the Drop sermon that goes with the song because the lyrics in the song are so sweet and they each have their own light bulb kind of moments, but it's a different light bulb that goes on when you actually speak it and when you say, when you do your mini mic preaching part to it.
Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, really love the new songs. I'm curious, is this something that you planned? You're like, well, let's go back to the themes that have worked, or they're still, burning in your heart now? Or is this something that you're just rediscovering in hindsight is happening as you write the new songs this time around?
Um, every song to me is a surprise.
Hmm.
I think I know what I'm doing, and then the best songs are the ones that you feel like taught you something because you wrote it. There's this great verse in Psalm 49 where David says, I incline my ear to wisdom, and with the music of the lyre, I will solve my riddle.
Hmm.
And I love picturing songwriting that way, that I'm trying to unriddle my own heart. And that's why I've picked up the guitar and why I'm listening to what God says, trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of songs I go, oh, I just never even thought of that until we wrote it, you know? And then you start going, oh, that's funny. That connects to that. And that connects to that. Maybe God is writing some kind of
Hmm.
tapestry with my life, which is what Ephesians 2:10 says. It says we are God's masterpiece, or the Greek word is poema, which is where we get our word poem. So we're this artistic expression of God created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which he has prepared in advance for us that we may walk in them. So it seems to me that as I walk, going, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I'm writing, I'm trying, then all of a sudden you go, oh, yeah, I think that was prepared in advance for me to do. A lot of songwriters talk about songs almost feel like archaeological digs where you're uncovering something that was already there.
Yeah. Ooh, that gets all kinds of deep right there, going into that whole thing. But this is
All kinds of
awesome.
deep. I see
All
what you
kinds
did
of deep.
there. That was a pun, sort of archaeological dig.
I guess yeah, couldn't help myself. But we cannot wait to have you here, invited tour with Natalie Lane, who this is going to be ridiculous. She's so fun.
That girl, funk soul sister. I
Yeah.
saw her at a little thing in Indiana last year, and we need to figure out who's gonna open up for the tour. I said, you need to get that girl Natalie because she can wail. She can
Hmm.
sing. She can throw down on the piano. I'm trying to talk her into making sure her set's got plenty of funk in it because
Oh, yeah.
she can do it.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's fantastic. Oh, man. Well, we cannot wait. Are there any classic 10th Avenue North songs that you are really excited to be singing again on this tour?
I am not one of those performers who goes, I'm not going to do the old stuff. I'm only going to do something new. I only want to do the new songs. I want to do the new songs, but it's part of what brought 10th Avenue North back was I started going out and doing shows solo, and people would think I didn't want to do the 10th Ave songs. I go, I wrote the 10th Ave songs. Of course I want to do those songs. You know, my songs, like Mac Powell used to say, my songs are like my children. Even if you got an ugly one, you love them all the same. So I am thrilled to play any song that people want to hear. So I'm the guy you got to drag me off the stage. Some people, they want to keep it tight, and I'm like Bruce Springsteen, man. I will go 4 hours if they would let me.
You
So
got to give the
all of them.
people what they want. Lean into it.
Let's
Don't fight
go.
it.
This could be the last day we're alive. We don't know.
Yeah.
Let's sing them all.
Sing the songs that the people know all the words to,
That's
that
what
they
I'm
had
talking
at their
about.
weddings, that they've been singing for years. I love it. Yeah, you got to lean into that and do the new stuff too. It's all awesome.
Let's
So,
go.
well, Mike, welcome back. Can't wait to see you and the guys and Natalie. That's coming up October the 4th here at the Junction Center, Mannheim, junctioncenterproductions.com. Thanks for talking.
Great. Oh, it's gonna be great. I
It's
have
going to
some
be awesome.
friends who own like a donut shop around there.
Which
I don't
one?
know.
Is
I
it something
forget.
with a W? No?
Let's see. I guess they do like ministry with it, which is pretty cool.
Ministry and
Uh,
donuts? Oh,
yeah, it's kind of like an undercover ministry. Let me see.
I, I bet it's very effective.
I don't remember
Okay.
what's the name of your, I'm asking the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're gonna go donut tasting that day for
Are you?
sure.
You definitely should.
Yeah. I mean, you can't eat a lot of donuts, but you can
Have you
sample.
tried? Eat as many as you can.
No, now we're getting into like
It'll make it harder for us to drag you off the stage at
we
the end.
got to be responsible with our choices here, okay?
Yes,
So,
definitely. If is there a donut you're looking forward to? Do you have like your favorite kind of donut?
I'm a jelly filled guy.
Really?
There's just you get a good raspberry jam donut like
Yeah.
I've cuz you think of jelly donuts as sort of this, terrible fake concoction, but when
Yeah.
you can get I've had a couple where it's a homemade jam and a great donut. I mean, I love that. I love a Boston cream. I like the little mystery inside, I guess. I like a little extra surprise inside.
That doesn't surprise me about
Yeah.
you. That yeah, that
Why
that
have a donut with a hole when you could have a donut with a bunch of stuff in where the hole? I realize there's a donut and there's a hole inside of that donut, and inside of that hole was another donut. Did you see Knives Out? That's a great line.
But okay, last question. And
Yeah.
I've never asked this as a last question before, but I have to know more about your donut preferences. If this jelly donut, is it glazed? Is it sugared? Is it powdered sugared?
I have come to find that a powdered donut is the right way to do a jelly filled. There's really no question
It's the
about it.
most mess possible.
The glaze, I mean, like, guys, decide what you want to
Yeah.
do. Okay. Like, make a choice. The powder, it complements the jelly. The glaze, it's too much.
Oh, that's true. I guess texturally, sugared
It's
is
more
out.
just the sugar content. It's like,
Yeah.
I feel like the glaze and the jelly are combating for the same space in my palate.
Hmm.
But the powder and the jam were meant to be.
I'm going to have to test your theories, but I don't mind. And
Praise God.
yeah.
Oh,
And
so
Ministry with Donuts
he didn't
is
taste bad. I
brilliant.
don't know. I can't remember the name of the donut shop, but it's there. We're gonna go eat some donuts. Go.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hey, we'll see you next month.
Let's go.
Let's go. Thanks for chatting, Mike.
Oh, thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah.
I had a lovely time. You did
Oh,
a great
good.
job.
Oh, thank you very much.
You did the best job. You really know how to do it. Keep talking. Is it too soon? Too soon to do a Trump impression?
Uh, Too soon, too late. I mean,
Good
he's
enough.
back. He's back too. I don't know.
It's all.
No comment.
I hope people conflate us and Donald Trump when they're like, you know who else is back? 10th Avenue North.
Yeah, that's true.
I should make an AI video of Trump. You know who else is back? My favorite band,
Yeah.
10th Avenue North.
I mean, if you need content for your socials, definitely.
Heard it here first.
Right?
All right.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad we could talk. I think you're done for the day now, right? So,
Oh, now I get to organize my pantry with my wife. Pretty exciting.
actually, that sounds fun. Kind of.
It's
Is that a good group
needed.
activity? I do that solo.
You
Or do you work
know,
well together in
I
that?
just do what she tells me to do. I'm more
Okay.
the assistant in this role.
You have to know your roles in
That's
this
right.
next task.
Clear
Well,
roles.
hey, best of
helps.
luck to you
Thank you.
with the pantry.
Thanks. Have a great day.
All right. See you, Mike.